Welcome back to the channel. I think we live.
I don't have to show my face. It's me. That's my right.
Absolutely. Well, that's what Hollywood wants to do, though, is to control everybody through images.
Exactly. So I'm in control of my image now. It's no longer the people that froze my account. It's no longer the people that threatened me. We've got past the threats. They tried to throw me in jail for the truth. And, you know, people believe me. And people see that I wasn't crazy on what I was talking about. And they tried to write it off and they keep trying to write it off. But the truth is, the more and more I'm faithful to Christ, the more and more he's going to keep unlocking the blessings. You know, he set it on my heart to build communities, to build farms, to build schools, to build the choir. But when you do that, you have to be really obedient. Hey guys, could you not talk in the back? I'm like really hypersensitive to sound. If you guys want to talk, just go in the other room, please. But we have to be really obedient. You know, like one of the big topics right now is all of the pedophilia advertisement. And my take on that is, you know, there's one place in the
All right, y'all. Welcome back to the channel. We are good to go. Turn my volume down just a little bit. Make sure I'm good to go. Get straight to it. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right, y'all. Got a good one tonight. Don't know how long I'm gonna go. But the spirit moved me to jump on here. You know, I'll be honest with you guys. I've been doing a lot of just going back and looking at this era here, Yay 24 era, right? Around 2022 time frame where Ye was making his circuits. Alex Jones, Lex Friedman, Piers Morgan. He did a Tucker Carlson interview. He did something with Cuomo for like 30 minutes. Several interviews. And I was actually just going back looking at some of the reactors, some of the reactions from those particular interviews. And just looking at and admiring to a certain degree the amount of disdain that some of these people have for Ye and for what he was saying, for what he was representing, the amount of hatred, the amount of condemnation. No matter if he was speaking about Black abortion, no matter if he was speaking about how we're controlled, there was this level of hatred for this man and what he's saying and what he stands for that I was like, wow, you know. There was even a clip I saw where when Ye brought up the point or the idea that, you know, more Black babies were aborted in New York City than were born. And one of the reactors said, I guess Black people just love abortions. And it's that level of disconnect, that level of inhumanity that we're living under right now. And it's all brought on by lies. This is what happens when you're living in a society that's built upon lies and deceit. All right. And even above that, to a certain degree, fear. Fear. Right? So we are in a spiritual war, ladies and gentlemen. This is a spiritual war. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. That's a true statement. We're going to read that scripture here in a minute. This is a spiritual battle. We don't have nuclear weapons. We don't have a standing army. We don't have hospitals, vaccine programs. We don't have big education houses that, you know, you'll go through this program and you'll come out with a piece of paper saying that you're better than your neighbor now. We don't have any of those things. All we have is our truth, our mouth, our spirit, our words, right? That's all we have. But that's all we need. That's the amazing thing about it, is that that's really all we need. And I've said this before. If having nuclear weapons, if having tanks, F-35 fighter jets, having all the politicians on your side, bribing everyone, lies, everything that comes along with this current setup that we're living in, If that was the true power of God, the enemy wouldn't have it, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I make a lot of songs and, I mess around with it. Sometimes I throw one on YouTube, not to get clout. It's just for me, like, my little artistic expression. But I'm working on this one bar. Hope I didn't just forget it. It says something, I don't have I don't have the rhyme for it yet, but it basically going to go something along the lines is that, they'll challenge or they'll make fun of our vernacular, but they won't challenge the spirit. They'll make fun of how we pronounce words, how we talk or how we dress and this, that, and the third, right? But they'll never challenge the spirit of what we're saying. All right. All right. So yeah, this is Ye, and we're going to watch some of this video here later. We're going to go through a couple Bible verses here because I want to kind of highlight the importance of this battle that we're fighting right now, ladies and gentlemen. So this is Ephesians 6:10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. God's might causes the sunrise, causes the sunset, causes the rain, causes the seasons. Right? This is God's might. Causes when you plant a seed into the ground for it to produce fruit and grow into a mighty apple tree one day. That's God's might and power. That's the faith we have. Not in these institutions, not in these politicians, okay? Not in these media outlets. None of that. That's not the power of God. Not in money. That's all fake stuff. Our faith and power is from the might of God, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Put on the whole armor of God that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. The wiles of the devil, ladies and gentlemen. This is way back during the time of the First Roman Empire, where they're speaking on the wiles of the devil. The devil is deceitful. The wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand, to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. Now, in a lot of the reactors videos, they're so quick to call, they were so, and they still do it to this day. They say Ye's unhinged. They say he's crazy. They say he's bipolar. They say he's manic, right? And I find it so interesting that they said the same things about Jesus Christ. They said the same things about Jesus Christ, y'all. Check it out. So Jesus got through saying something. The people answered and said, thou hast a devil. Who goeth about to kill thee? So when Christ was saying, hey, they want to take my life, people were saying he was crazy. He had a devil on him. That's John 7:10. John 10:20. And many of them said, he hath a devil and is mad. Why hear ye him? Why are you listening to this guy? He's crazy. Why are you listening to them? He's crazy. It's a conspiracy theory, Jesus. You're bipolar, Jesus. Did you take your medication? Are you getting enough sleep? See, I'm under the understanding that while many people call themselves Christians, while many of people call themselves follower of Jesus, they wouldn't recognize Jesus if he sung them a hit song. They wouldn't recognize Jesus if he released an album. They wouldn't recognize Jesus if he did an interview today. They would not recognize this guy because everything Jesus stood for was contrary to the spiritual wickedness of the time. He saw right through it. It's almost like one of those, they have these things these days, and they're old now. What are those digital photography where it might be purple and it's like a digital design, but if you look closely at the right angle, you'll see a ship or a car or some type of picture of something within that digital maze. And some people can see it, some people can't. That's what this world is right now. Truth will rule the day, ladies and gentlemen. Truth and only truth. John 8 and 48. Then answered the Jews and said unto him, say we not well, thou art a Samaritan and hast a devil. They said he had a devil. You're a Samaritan and you got a devil. Mark 3. This is the media right here, ladies and gentlemen. And the scribes which came down from Jerusalem said, he hath Beelzebub, and by the prince of the devils casteth he out devils. This is what they were saying about Jesus Christ in his time. And he called them unto him and said unto them in parables. So Christ spoke in parables. He didn't speak as a certified Harvard PhD. He spoke like a rapper. He spoke in parables. He used a lot of analogies to make his points. And he called them unto him and said unto them in parables, how can Satan cast out Satan? Woo! That's a bar. How can Satan cast out Satan? Can the political system cast out Satan? Is the media going to cast out Satan, ladies and gentlemen? Is money going to cast out Satan? All these devices of the devil, the wiles of the devil, are these lies? Is anti-Semitism, that idea, racism, that idea, all this cancel culture, all this censorship, all these programming and ideas that they give us freely. They give us racism freely. Can Satan cast out Satan? If racism was the key, if the understanding of racism and the idea of racism was the key to your salvation, it would be canceled to say racism. If anti-Semitism or the ideas of anti-Semitism were the things that would set you free, you wouldn't be able to even say the word. They would call you crazy for even mentioning a concept like anti-Semitism if it was the truth. You're only allowed to speak lies freely. If you haven't noticed. This is 2 Thessalonians. And we're going to read this and we might read it again at the end of the broadcast. Excuse me. Now we beseech ye, now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, and by our gathering together unto him, that ye be not soon shaken in mind, or troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letters as from us, as that the day of Christ is at hand. Check this out. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things. I'm gonna read the whole chapter. And now ye know that withholdeth that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity doeth already work. You know, there's a song with Lauryn Hill. She says, matter of fact, if you look at the Yay SoFi show, her opening line of the song is the mystery of iniquity. I can't sing like her, but she talks about the mystery of iniquity. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. Check it out. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. Not the spirit of his nukes, not the spirit of his F-35 fighter jets, not the spirit of his vote, the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all powers and signs and lying wonders. So they're telling you right here that Satan's going to come with wonders. He's going to come with Harvard degrees and scholarship, DNA test, right? Evolution and scientific facts. That's what Satan's coming with. Lying wonders. You haven't noticed one of the major theme of the devil is that he's just a liar, which is so big of a deal. It's the lie, ladies and gentlemen. That's the only thing that's holding us back, is that we believe lies. And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. For this cause God shall send them strong delusions, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. Man, that should make you have to rethink, what do you believe in? Do you love lies? You know, I bang on white Jesus a little bit, not out of any type of disdain for white people or anything like that, but I'm using it as an example. The idea of white Jesus, you know, you got to think, guys. If Jesus was white, the white image of Jesus would not be so heavily circulated throughout society. I'm going to say that again. If Jesus was a quote unquote white man, his image would not be so readily available and circulated throughout society, because the whole purpose of the devil, or one of the main goals of the devil, is for you not to recognize Jesus. You think the devil wants you to recognize Jesus? You got to use common sense, guys. But we are bound to give thanks always to God for you, brethren, beloved of the Lord, because God hath from the beginning chosen you to salvation through sanctification of the Spirit and belief of the truth. That's one of the main aspects of those who will make it through these days, is belief of the truth. Wherefore, whereunto you he called you by our gospel, to the obtaining of the glory of our Lord Jesus Christ. Therefore, brethren, stand fast and hold the traditions which ye have been taught, whether by word or our epistle. Now our Lord Jesus Christ himself and God, even our Father, which have loved us and have given us everlasting consolation and good hope through grace, comfort your hearts and establish you in every good word and work. Beautiful. So look at some of I'm going to put this, I want to go on this X clip right here, because I found this right before I went live, and I thought the brother made a good point about what's going on today. You have to understand, guys. I'm going to let him speak. Check it out.
Now y'all know what I come to realize now. Everybody lying except for us. We the only ones ain't lying, man. Everybody lying. The DNA test lying. The United States government lying, the school system lying, the history class lying, college lying, everybody lying except for us. I don't know if y'all realized it. The only truth you're gonna get from out here, if you don't know how to ask the right questions, is from TikTok. That's the only place you're gonna get the real truth. The news lying, everybody lying. Nobody's telling the truth. The only people telling the truth are these creators on TikTok telling y'all the things that happened with our ancestry, telling you the things that's hidden behind the scenes with elites and shit like that. Everybody else lying. We the only ones telling the truth. Let me know in the comments if I'm on point, man, or if I'm tripping.
Now, I would say he's on point. Now, look, I made this analogy before, and I really want this to hit home. That's why I'm going to keep saying it. You know, this system we have where people are classified as white and people are classified as black, we all been lied to, okay? We're all living under the same lie, all right? So I'm not at war with quote unquote white people or at war with black people. You know, I understand we're all living under the same lie. But the issue is that the lies have been made to puff up white people, right? And it's like anything else. If you're at work, they say, oh, you did a good job. You know, you're working super hard, even though you might, you know, you maybe took a little bit of a day off. They'll, oh, you did a great job. You're going to be the employee of the month. Most people are not going to say, no, I didn't deserve that award. I'm going to take that employee of the month award. Or we're going to give you a bonus. Here's extra $1,500 for your monthly pay, you know, for the great evaluation that you got over the past, 6 months or a year, however, you know, your particular situation works out. If you know you slacked off, you're still not going to say, oh, I'm not taking that 1,000. You're going to take it, right? But if somebody comes along and says, hey, you didn't earn that 1,000, we need to get it back. If that's the truth, you might struggle with that because you don't want to give that $1,000 back. So with that being said, the truth is going to come from the quote unquote black people, ladies and gentlemen. The truth, the spiritual truth. When I say truth, I'm not talking about Ron DeSantis being mobbed up with Israel type of truth. I'm talking about the truth of the spirit. It's going to come from black people, those that are labeled as black. That's the way the game is set up. And that's why the media, the system has done such a wonderful job in painting us, one, black, and two, as nothing. That's why there's nothing, you know, Ye made a great point about going to the African American History Museum. They start with slavery. Isn't that odd? Isn't that odd, ladies and gentlemen? Y'all don't find it strange that in order for this new world, this Renaissance period to take flight and to be what it is today, that a certain group of people had to go into captivity or be conquered first? Isn't it strange to y'all that in 2026, the identity of quote unquote black people in America or blacks in the Americas has not been divulged? Y'all don't find that strange of all the things? That's not weird to y'all? It's weird to me. Especially since we cause so much problems, right? We cause so many issues. We're so out of control. We're so violent. We're so this, we're so that. You would think that, hey, we need to identify these people. Who the hell are they? They causing all these problems, right? According to all the information that we get. I might need to get a TikTok. This is a guy named Vosh. This video was uploaded 3 years ago. It has 160,000 views. That's how much views he gets. And am I jealous of that?
Strawberries when you drop
Absolutely.
this device in
I'm absolutely jealous because he's an effing liar and he's so misinformed and he's evil and he thinks he knows.
Cultivate their ideology and the way
He's speaking on Kyrie Irving now, you know, as if he understands Kyrie's plight. Another one, this Hassan guy, some Turkish anchor baby, comes over here and he has all the answers. Nepo baby, he only got on because his uncle miraculously has TNT, the Young Turks Network, or TWTYT, whatever you want to call it. And now he has a platform and he gets 400,000 views to trash what Ye's saying. New to this land. New. And just as degenerate as they come.
You just said something very inflammatory about President Biden. It will, as you know, offend a lot of people. And it will particularly offend people who work in mental health. You say you should not use a word like retarded. But you say that because you yourself have had mental health issues, that entitles you to use that kind of word as an insult. Now, I would say that's an arguable point.
I've had my issue is I've had mental health allegations.
So do you believe that you have any form of mental illness?
I believe that I suffered from exhaustion.
See, back in the day, they used to call it the devil. You had Beelzebub, you had the devil on you. Now they call it mental illness. And here, I'm going to say this too. This is one thing I'm glad I remember. I want to say this real quick. We're going to go to another one. We're going to go straight to this Alex Jones. I want to watch a lot of this right here. We'll probably watch the whole part one. You people better be correct. The Jewish people screaming anti-Semitism, you better be correct. There's no room for error. The story about World War II and what happened, it better be correct. I don't know if it's, true or not, but I know that it better be right. It better be the truth. All you black woke celebrities that are saying the things you guys are saying to the masses to lead them in whatever direction you're leading them, you better be right. All the education, all the doubters, everyone who's saying that Ye's wrong, you better be right. You better be right. You got people on here telling you, hey, these Jewish people, I don't know about that. I don't know if they're the people that actually, are the authors of this information here. I'm not sure that they're the authors of this information. It looks like they're not, actually. Shut up, anti-Semite. You better be correct. Anti-Semitism better be real. And that whole idea of anti-Semitism and just the franticness and the fear that comes from the Jewish collective and the Jewish voice, it doesn't seem like the voice of a people who have confidence in God. They speak as if though they're afraid and that God is not with them, actually. That's my observation. They don't speak that they have the confidence of the Creator on their side. Let's watch this, Alex Jones. This is classic. Let's go.
The Bible where it says God sees sin differently, and there's another place where it says, let me get out my phone. I can really pull up the exact thing it says in the Bible. The general gist, and we'll get back to it after the 5-minute break, is that you have to stay strict to everything and remove as much sin as possible in order to serve God. And when people look at pornography, when a grown man is looking at a grown woman have sex on camera, you're still looking at someone's daughter, and you're looking at a lot of times someone that is the product of pedophilia. So people will engage in going to strip clubs or looking at pornography, but then the moral compass is like, oh my God, look at the pedophiles. But in a way, anybody who looks at pornography is a form of a pedophile also. Let's bank it all in. It's very simple. We're not going to be talking about all this moral code and these standards right here. It's either Christ said so or Christ said no.
Yay, powerful information. I totally agree with you. Back in 60 seconds, to join over 400 radio stations. Nick Fuentes in the studio. Everybody, tell everybody you know, tune in now, Infowars.com/show. Let's break the internet today. Stay with us.
That's
Well,
actually
make no mistake, this Thursday, December 1st.
something that Christ said, and I think it's leaning on the point that Christ made. Let me see. I don't have the Bible memorized like that, so I'm going to try to, oh man, lust after. Let me see. Yep. This is exactly what Christ said. It's the same type of spirit. He said, but I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her have committed adultery with her already in his heart. And that's very, very, very real. That's pornography. Right? Because you have to understand what was going on back then. You had Edomites or Jewish people were running the show. Jewish Herodian liars basically had taken over, and they were pushing pornography and those type of wicked type of things even back then. And the Pharisees would say, like you heard Dennis Prager say it. Dennis Prager, if you don't know who he is, look him up, said that, you know, pornography is fine because you're not actually doing it. Well, Christ came to correct that type of thought, saying, no, even to look at a woman like that and lust after her, you've committed adultery already with her in her heart. I mean, in your heart. And that's what Ye just said. He literally just said the same thing here. It's the same energy, the same spirit that Ye said here on Infowars.
2022 broadcast is beyond the twilight
Hit that
zone.
like button for me if you come
Because
in.
truth is stranger
Throw
than
something in the
fiction.
chat. We'll talk about
Yay.
it.
Maybe more controversial than Alex Jones or Donald Trump now. I mean, we're about the most controversial people in the world, and obviously the most attacked and demonized. He's here. Nick Fuentes is here as well. America First. We're going to have Ali Alexander on, Owen Schroyer. This thing's going to go for the next 3+ hours as long as Ye wants to go. Some stations don't carry the first 5, but you just dropped some bombs that I totally agree that are huge, Ye. So recap that and continue on, sir.
Okay, so I looked this up. It's about sin. That's what we're going to talk about, sin today, and how we need to do everything that we can. We're imperfect, but to free ourselves of sin and repent for sin throughout the day, at night, and in the morning. So right here, the Bible says right here, I know I'm going to do a Corinthians 2, like Trump, you know, new Christian kind of reading of this. So bear with me. I love Jesus, but I'm not the most, experienced Christian. And it says, the book of Proverbs 6:16-19. I'm sure that's the wrong way to read it.
It's okay. You got the floor.
Okay. Identify 7 things that God hates, although there are not any punishments prescribed for those. Scripture clearly indicates that God does view sin differently, and that he proscribed a different punishment for sin depending upon its severity. Now watch this one. It says, where the phrase all sins are equal in the eyes of God comes from. As far as I can tell, the most common argument for the belief that all sins are created equal comes from the book of James 2:10. It states, for whoever keeps the whole law and yet stumbles at just one point is guilty of breaking all of it. Now, I'm a big fan of Steve Jobs, even though he did create Apple. And if you notice, the logo of Apple is actually the fall of man. The
Forbidden fruit.
The bitten apple, right? So we can get into, what social media has done to families and all that. We got 3 hours, right? But I like the way our incredible American inventors like Disney and Hughes and Steve Jobs, the way they ran their companies and invented things that changed the world. And the way Steve ran his company was his version of a sinless office. Everyone had to be so meticulous to be able to take what was 10 things at one time and make and put it in the palm of our hand. Think about an iPhone. It's your fax, it's your email, it's your phone.
And now it's 1,000 things.
Yeah, it's your camera, it's your flashlight. Yeah, it's like 1,000 things in it. But he had to have his army go in with a sinless approach. And right now, you know, God called Gideon to make an army, the 300, the real 300, not the movie version, that were all focused on serving this mission at the time. So we have a mission right now to save our families from social media, from Zionist control, and bring Jesus Christ back to the forefront. And we're protected. You know, I don't have security. My security is the angels. My security is the fact that I didn't load up pornography last night. And I said, this addiction is going to have to flee from me. You know, this addiction since I was 5 years old that has destroyed my mom and my dad's family, that destroyed my family. Like, when I take full accountability for the destruction, like, of my marriage, I'll point at the liberals and say, you took my wife from me. You know what took my wife from me? The fact that I was married to this beautiful person, but I felt like it wasn't enough. I felt like I still needed to look at pornography. In some way, I'd say to her, well, stop making these images, stop breaking the internet. You know, that original term comes from my ex-wife actually having a nude photo that I didn't know about, that someone used her and put her on a magazine. But there's somewhere where she's like, well, if my husband is looking at this, I still want to be like the girls that are doing this. And this becomes people reliving the traumas, pushing the addiction. The pornography industry is not even a big industry. It's like less than $10 billion, right? So that means that it's not used for prosperity, it's used for disparity.
By the way, George Orwell wrote in 1984,
And you got to ask yourself, why do we have pornography in our society like that? Why? What would be the purpose of that? Why would you want to corrupt the very thing that God gave us to make more of us? Like, just think about the mindset of that. Ye made a good point. It's not like they're making a lot of money. It's not about the money they make. It's about the destruction it causes. That's the purpose of pornography.
he'd been the number 2 guy in PSYOPs for OSS and ran propaganda for the British government, but he found out that he didn't like Hitler, but he found out that they were actually manipulated and created him. He didn't like the communists. He'd been one of them. He found out the British intelligence had actually created that and done that. And he explained in 1984 that pornography is something to destroy families, destroy our souls, and get us to commit. He wasn't even a big Christian, but get us to debase ourselves so that they could control us.
Absolutely. You got alcohol and pornography are these legal drugs. Alcohol is a spirit. We're gonna go into the spirit of alcohol. Let's just go to the facts.
I think Candace brought out some information, and they'll do this, right? They have these psychological warfare units in the U.S. military, in the Israeli military, and I'm sure other Western militaries for sure. It's called psychological operations. And one of the tactics they'll use is to distribute pornography, broadcast it on their networks, through like a jamming signal where every station has porn. So you cut on the TV and there it is. You're looking at something happening on the screen. And that's there to play a psychological trick on people. It's to debase them. It's to take them further away from God. It's not used as an upliftment. And I'm not trying to sound like a holy roller or nothing like that, but you have to ask yourself, what is the purpose of that? How does that make us better as a society, as a country, as a land? It's not. It's there to destroy us because the devil is influencing the country right now, ladies and gentlemen.
Today. Let's not just even do opinions. And I love how you brought that in because now you got God's warriors coming together. Right now, okay, Nick Fuentes doesn't have a Twitter account. Alex Jones doesn't have a Twitter account. But hey, guess what, Elon? I got a Twitter. And today I'm going to have Nick and Alex tweet from my account. You like that, Ari Emanuel?
I'm all about free speech. And the greatest threat is those that want to silence us. That's why it comes First Amendment.
Yeah.
Anybody trying to take your speech.
What if every moment was an opportunity to reward your conviction? Before the whistle, before the game ends. No house. Live trade the moment on Polymarket.
Is the enemy.
Absolutely. Well, and it's I do find it a little bit hypocritical that Elon Musk said that he was purchasing Twitter to create a free speech environment. He says that free speech is the thing that's going to save the West and our civilization. But yet he has taken exception to you, Alex, for some seemingly specific reason, maybe personal to him, but definitely not principled. So I think it's time that the people finally demand a real victory here. We've been at war, essentially, since Trump came down the golden escalator 7 years ago to put America first, to put Christ first, to free the internet and do these kinds of things. And here we are all this time later, and it seems like we've stagnated or in some ways maybe even taken a step back. So it's time that people demand we want Christ first, we want America first, we want Alex Jones back on Twitter. These are just and reasonable demands.
Well, I see it like this, and I want you to be able to elaborate on this, but I don't want Ye to get his run because he's got so much to say and he always gets cut off. But so I'm going to try to shut up as much, but we can go 4 or 5 hours if you want, but the main show's actually 4 hours long. I was just hoping for 3. We'll do 4 hours if you guys are up for it. But here's what I'm saying. I am a classical liberal at heart, so I love everybody and I judge people by what they do, not what color they are. And then I look at the things you said, and some of them out of context I don't agree with, but compared to a liberal, a modern liberal saying white people are inherently evil and white people are bad because of their skin color, and then that's what the ADL and Southern Poverty Law Center and these leftist groups in Hollywood have pushed. So they're putting out something beyond even what Hitler said, but reversing it onto white people, and we're supposed to sit there and accept it. And then Ye comes out and says, hey, I see kind of a mafia running things.
All right, we're going to.
I found it interesting when Ye and Candace wore this shirt, the backlash they got from the media. It really should have woke a lot of black people up, but it didn't. If we live in a white supremacist society, why would the establishment get so upset about the White Lives Matter? You gotta think about it like that. If the idea is white supremacy, why would this offend the establishment? This was such a boss move here, man. Such a boss move. One of Ye's greatest skill sets is really highlighting hypocrisy through his art. It's amazing.
Curse a little bit less on this subject.
Yes, Reverend. I'm going to try. I'll stop.
And the reason I wanted Nick, people have heard from Nick, but people haven't heard from Nick with Ye standing right next to him.
I got to say this. Nick Fuentes wouldn't be Nick Fuentes without Ye. This was Nick's moment. Nick did a great job. Now, I don't say that to take away from Nick's preparation, his knowledge, his talent, anything like that. But him being with Ye during this time frame elevated Nick to a place on earth that he would not have been without Ye. And I find it actually ironic because Ye is the only one that could have done this for Nick. It couldn't have been anyone else. I mean, who's the most you think Elon Musk could have gave Nick Fuentes the amount of stardom and eyes that a Ye has? And it's also ironic, especially based on some of the views of the Groypers about black people. It's ironic that it was a black person that put him on and gave him his shine. Right? And like I said, I like Nick. I'm not, dogging Nick right now, but I find that ironic, and I also find it telling. The signs are out there for us. If you guys really want to see what's going on, if you be still, you can see who's who in this video game. You can see who the kings are, who the servants are, and I'm talking about spiritually. You can see who the leaders are. You can see who God's talking through. You can see who the CEOs are. if you just be still and watch. And you cannot use any of the filters that this society gives you. This racism filter, this anti-Semitism filter, this mental health filter, this education filter, the media filter. All these filters are there to actually give you more blind spots and to cast darkness.
It's like that's the thing that the Zionists control, the 300 in control of the media, in control of the governments. They don't want us to connect to each other. Like my dad said, okay, they say you're anti-Semitic, but they say he's a white supremacist. And he's asking me, well, what's the difference? I said, Dad, there is no difference. It's just separation and confusion. They want to separate and confuse the Christians and make us afraid to stand next to each other. A Christian can stand next to anyone. We can go visit R. Kelly in prison. We can go talk to Harvey Weinstein.
That's what Jesus did.
Yes, because Jesus can save everyone. But if the Zionists can get us so afraid that they're going to do what they've been doing to me, attempting to put me in jail, freeze my accounts, smearing me on the media, all of these things, you put on the whole armor of God and they will not be able to break your spirit.
And by the way, we can do 3 hours on this subject,
Yeah.
and you do 5 hours on it, and let's just get it.
I mean, Ye's been pretty consistent in his message. Him saying George Bush doesn't care about black people, him wearing the red hat, him jumping on stage with Taylor Swift, him wearing that what appeared to be a Klan outfit with the DJ Academics interview, all those things. Him marrying a white woman, and now him, with Nick Fuentes has been his calling card. He's always done the thing that you're quote unquote not supposed to do, and brought it together and made moments out of it. Everything that I just mentioned were very, very, very important, valuable moments in the culture. All of those things. These are the things that don't go together according to the media. A black guy with a White Lives Matter hat don't go together. Right? Nick Fuentes and Ye, they don't go together. Even through his music, he talked about putting guys like Jay-Z and maybe Common, or somebody like different types of rappers, right? One who talks more about the streets and that life versus one who talks more about consciousness and knowledge, putting them in the booth together and making great songs. All these things you're not supposed to put together. And I find that ironic that people can't see it.
All going now, because I want to get into everything about your plans to try to bring jobs to America, unifying people, running for president, all those other issues. So I'm not steering us away from that. I'm just saying, let's just run with it as far as you guys want to go, and then I want to get into all the other topics that surround things.
Oh, beautiful. So where do you want to start?
Well, I mean, I would just start with this. There are good people from every group and every type of culture, and we all know that. But definitely the left, when it was America defeated Hitler, calls their opposition Hitler. When both my grandfathers almost died in the Army Air Corps, both of them almost died. One of them crash landed after a mission and got all broke up. The other one got hit in a German air raid in North Africa, and he'd only done like 18 of his missions, and then he had a concussion, and he was the captain, and then his buddies went up the next day and blew up over Italy. And he was always freaked out about it. Never really talked about it until he died, but when he died, we read the letters and all the awards he had and stuff and the things he did after that, and then, re-upping and recommitting to the Army Air Corps. So I take it as an offense to have George Soros and people that actually work for Hitler rounding up people, tell me I'm a Nazi when I almost don't exist when my grandfathers went over there. So I got a lot to say about this as well. It's just nuanced with the whole thing that's going on. But expanding on that, give us, because I want you to go wherever you want. So let's just have you talk for 10, 15 minutes more before me and because we got a lot to hear from Fuentes and he needs to be heard, but we want to hear from Ye. Go ahead.
Well, I said with Ali Alexander and Nick Fuentes that we're like the SWAT team of free thought, and I go in with this battle ram at the door, and then they come in with these laser beams and have that information. And we work together as a team. A lot of times in media, they want to single out one person and burn them to the core. That is a Zionist approach. And they're asking me to use that same approach. Well, hey, don't say all people, just say specifically the business.
And that's actually kind of a God biblical understanding, right? God punishes nations too, right? All the Israelites, for the most part, went into captivity. He didn't just single out, all the Israelites went into captivity. All the Israelites were freed. So this whole idea of just picking one, right? This scapegoat type of mentality that seems to be so prevalent in our community, where you can pick a P. Diddy out of the crowd and say, he's the one we want to burn to the stake and make an example out of. That mentality is not really of God. Not to say that people are not individually punished. And I'm not saying P. Diddy did anything wrong or right. I'm just saying that's what they do. They'll grab one and give us him as the sacrificial lamb. Grab an R. Kelly, grab a Bill Cosby, grab a Diddy, grab a George Floyd, grab a Martin Luther King. Here's your hero, or here's your villain. And it don't work like that.
And then I go on Lex Friedman and I say who it specifically, and that's still not enough. They're still taking it too far. Everyone knows and agrees now that it's like a reverse version of American History X, the scene when they put the guy's head against the curve and kick the back of it. And now people are like, wait a second, the so-called crime doesn't deserve the punishment. What did I thought?
Well, that's right. You're not Hitler. You're not a Nazi. You don't deserve to be called that and demonized.
Well, I see good things about Hitler also. I love everyone, and Jewish people are not going to tell me you can love, us, and you can love what we're doing to you with the contracts, and you can love what we're pushing with the pornography. But this guy that invented highways, invented the very microphone that I use as a musician, you can't say out loud that this person ever did anything good. And I'm done with that. I'm done with the classifications. Every human being has something of value that they brought to the table, especially Hitler. How about that one? Ari Emanuel, how you like that one? Hey, Ron, you going to do anything to fix Chicago?
Well, I am worried about the thousands of black.
Let's talk about that for a quick moment. The idea of Adolf Hitler is offensive to a lot of people just based on the Hollywood Hitler motive, right? Or archetype, right? Whatever, right? But I find it funny that they have things called the Margaret Sanger Award that they'll give out yearly. NAACP hands out awards like that. Margaret Sanger Award. Margaret Sanger is quoted, and y'all can pull up the quote, where she basically says we want to diminish or extinguish the quote unquote Negroes of the time. And she also said they're going to use our pastors and other blacks and Negroes of high stature to soothe over any dissent that may come from any of the people that are resistant. They're resisted. And they'll pass out a Margaret Sanger Award, though. So it seems like the only people whose suffering is not tolerated is Zionists.
Folks down in month of Chicago, but let me expand on that because that's a nuanced issue. Yeah. My grandfather grew up in Dallas from a pretty wealthy family.
Also, Hitler was born Christian.
I've studied some of the history on it, but it's very interesting. My grandfather, grew up, and actually some of his family spoke some German. There's a lot of Germans in Texas. But did you know that he grew up next door to the inventor of air conditioning and the inventor of one of the major inventors of refrigeration? And so my issue was, growing up, my grandfather told me the stories about some of the inside baseball and the things that.
Whether y'all realize it or not, this interview really exposed Alex Jones as a fraud. I'm going to keep it a buck with y'all. it shows that he's even controlled. He's controlled opposition, ladies and gentlemen. And this interview highlights it perfectly. Everyone that he spoke with, every one person that Ye spoke with, was found out to be a fraud.
It went on, but later I'm going to get into that. I'm going to tell you some stuff about Hitler that you might not know directly that happened to my people I knew.
I'd love to hear everything, because guess what? We don't get to hear. It's hidden. Even like our truth, the fact that African Americans were in America before the Pilgrims, that truth is hidden. Now,
Ye said the Pilgrims were Jewish Hasidic Jews. Or maybe that word wasn't around back then, but they were, with the black. Y'all seen the images of the Pilgrims? They dressed just like the Hasidics. And see, these are the type of truths right here that hurt white people's feelings, and I don't know why. Y'all better hope and pray that black Americans are the Jews, are Judah. Because if we're stuck with the Zionist current occupation, the current occupiers of that particular seat as the truth, we're doomed. If Ben Shapiro is an actual Yehudi, we're doomed. If Benjamin Netanyahu is Yehudi, we're doomed. You better pray to your Catholic statue that's sitting in your church that it is the blacks. Because now we can change things. You already see what it looks like with Ben Shapiro as Yehudi. It don't fit right. It don't seem right. It don't look right.
we are actually the Native Americans, or some of us are Native, or the fact that what Kyrie got in trouble is pointing out that we're Jewish slave boats. And then,
well, look at Australia.
Yeah.
They've done some of the genetic typing of the Aborigines there. They're basically Africans.
There you go. So all of these truths, and then the cultures about banking, about the government. My favorite thing that I got to say with Tim Pool was Rahm Emanuel was right there next to Obama. Jared Kushner was right there next to Trump. What are those two people, those two Zionists, I gave it away, have in common? Nick, can you pick that up and expound on that?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's interesting because you've been going on these interviews with Lex Friedman and with Tim Pool and Piers Morgan, and they always say, well, don't talk about a group, talk about the individuals. And I would point out, one, it's hypocritical because in the same interview, Tim Pool said, well, wouldn't Ye be so great for the black vote? You can say the black vote, but you talk about Jewish businessmen, and somehow that's a problem. You can't talk about groups when it's one but not the other. The other thing is that there is something baked into the cake in Judaism which affects how they're brokering these kinds of contracts with entertainers like Ye. If you look at the Talmud, which is a real Jewish holy book, or part of the holy book, there's the written Torah, which is the Hebrew Bible. There's the oral Torah, which was written down as the Mishnah and then interpreted in the Talmud. In the Talmud, it says that Jews have to treat Gentiles differently than they treat other Jews. There's all kinds of examples of this. They say that if a Jew indirectly kills...
Alex
the
hates
odds
it.
can change in a heartbeat.
Alex hates this conversation.
Every touch,
You don't want to hear
every
that shit,
pass,
Nick. He's scared.
a Gentile, there's nothing even wrong with that. There's nothing morally wrong with that. They say that for a Jew to have sex with a Gentile is comparable to bestiality. They say that the semen of a Gentile is like that of horses. They also say that you can't give a gift to a Gentile. A Jew is not permitted under the Talmud to give a gift to a Gentile.
I've had Jewish people give me gifts. One of them gave me money one time. It's a long story, but actually gave me a gift of like $50, a $50 bill, because they know that we're not Gentiles. Jewish people know that black people are not goyim. When they say goyim and stuff like that, guys, they're not talking about black people. Y'all white people got to stop trying to throw us into that bowl with y'all. We're not the goyim. They know we're not the goyim. They're not talking about us. They're not talking about us when they say that word. You're goy.
They're not permitted to charge each other interest, but they're encouraged to charge Gentiles interest.
What do they say about pedophilia?
They say that that's, in some cases, licit.
Well, I mean, here's...
So you're telling me in their holy book, it says it's okay to be pedophiles as long as it's not another Jewish person.
That's something that came from Adam. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Well, let me just get this out front. I believe in free speech, and that's why I want you to be here and be able to say whatever you want. I'm quite the historian from a lot of multifaceted views. So at a certain point, I'm going to give my nuanced views of this, because there are power structures, and there are mafias, and there are cliques, and there are groups, and there is certainly leftist Jews that call everybody Nazis they don't agree with. If you don't want open borders, you don't want your guns taken, or you don't want to take a shot. The ADL had a meeting 2 weeks ago and said, Alex Jones is an agent of evil. He should be taken off the air. He's the devil because he doesn't want you to take 4 shots. And I'm like, what are you doing calling me anti-Semitic? I'm not against groups. I don't get into group politics.
Adam, sorry. I didn't mean to say that.
Classic moment
Alex,
coming up. Classic moment.
I've got the perfect answer for the ADL. They are going to have to listen up. What we did is we brought Netanyahu with us.
I mean, I'm in the twilight zone right now.
Now, when he did this, no one knew the type of guy Netanyahu was. The average day-to-day citizen didn't really understand the Netanyahu, right? But ever since October 7th, no one likes that guy. They can see it and hear it now. But when Ye first did this, it was like, why is he making fun of the Israeli prime minister? Right? He's crazy. But now everybody's ragging on Netanyahu. I find that interesting.
Netanyahu, what do you have to say? What do you have to say to Alex Jones right now, Nick Fuentes and Ye? It was bad. It was bad for Trump to meet with Nick and Ye. Okay. I had no idea your voice was going to sound like that, Netanyahu.
So you don't like Benjamin Netanyahu?
I just heard about this guy 2 weeks ago since like the tweet, and I thought he had a funny name. I heard he's like really into he's like a super killer. I could die for saying this. So in case this the last time you ever hear from me.
Well, look.
This is almost the equivalent of when Jesus Christ went after Herod and called Herod a lying fox, or called him a fox, and was just really going in on Herod. It's equivalent to that. Ye mocking Benjamin Netanyahu.
I'm glad you guys are here, and we can sit here and upset. All I'm telling you is, do you guys realize that the British government created Hitler, and the Milner Group put him in power, and there's something much more sophisticated? And I personally think that most Jews are great people, and I understand there's a Jewish mafia, and they're used to demonize anybody that promotes freedom, but I don't blame Jews in general for that. And there is a much larger eugenics, transhumanist, scientific elite agenda that's playing off.
What about abortion? It's 50% of black deaths. There's over 50.
Hey, one of the papers I had, you're like, why is all? You're the director today. It's fine. The Margaret Sanger, Rockefeller-founded Planned Parenthood came out today and said, because of your white guilt, white people need to give money so we can kill black babies. I swear to God, it's in my stack. If I hadn't moved it off the desk, I could pull it right up for you.
Why did I have you move it off the desk, Alex?
Because it's cluttered. I'm not bitching. I'm just saying, everybody asks, where's my papers? I don't have them there as a prop. I can literally go, look, I agree with you. Look at this.
Alex is not happy with the way that, this is funny, y'all.
They say white people help us kill black people for your white guilt. It actually says that. Now, I'm agreeing with you.
Is it a problem with props? We can't. This is the voice of Netanyahu.
Well, see, you get your mop. I'm going to find the tweet here. See, because I want to show you this. This is a big, guys. I sent it to you this morning. It was in the tweets. You pull it up. It's official Twitter of the eugenics death cult. Talk about Nazis. I mean,
we're going to have Netanyahu step out for a second, okay, Alex?
Oh, he's going to go?
I'm leaving for now until it's another meeting, and then I'm going to say something. All right.
You're not only an artist, you're a comedian. But Nick, that's what I'm getting at here is that.
See, people say, yay, crazy. Hey, man, cut it out, yo. This is the type of this is what spiritual warfare looks like, ladies and gentlemen. This is spiritual warfare. The whole idea of Jewish is spiritual. The whole idea of anti-Semitism is spiritual. The whole idea of racism is spiritual. All these things that we're supposed to navigate around through life and make sure we don't say this and make sure we don't say that. Make sure you don't do this. Make sure you don't do that. This is the spiritual battlefield. And Ye's taking an axe and just knocking that shit down. He's smashing an axe straight through that shit spiritually. This is high level spiritual warfare. We don't have nukes. God don't work through us like that. I showed you in the scripture where it says that the devil's going to be defeated by the spirit of God's mouth, the spirit of Christ's mouth, what we say, by calling them out, by speaking truth, by uncovering the mysteries, by revealing.
Is that it was a it doesn't matter. I mean, there's fluoride in the water killing us all. They're injecting us with GMO. Oh, here's a question, and I'm not an apologist for Israel. I'm trying to be balanced here, and I believe in First Amendment. I believe in free speech. I endorse you, say whatever you want. Israel has, other than like Singapore and a few places, the most draconian mRNA injections in the world. They have the highest death rate from the shots. They are literally forcibly injecting them like Joseph Mengele, and Jews are dying in mass in Israel. So if the Jews are the secret group that runs it all, and I'm not denying that Jews run Hollywood, what I'm saying is
it's the Zionist.
Yeah, but okay, well, why would the Zionists be killing Jews in mass in Israel with the poison shot?
I'm going to answer that. First of all, you don't know if that's true or not, Alex Jones. They just told you that that's what was happening over there. And two, just because they took the shot, you don't know what the hell was in that shot. They're just giving you numbers, yo. Of course they're going to say that they're getting all their people the mRNA vaccines. Of course they're going to put that out to the public. Alex Jones, are y'all dumb? Y'all the type of people that just believe people because they say it.
Because they work for Satan. They don't work for God.
Exactly. So they create atmospheres that get Jews persecuted so they can control the Jews so they can kill them. And you just did it. Just like George Soros helped round up Jews for Hitler, that's the next level. Boom, we just got there.
And they control the left and the right. They make politics super messy. Like, I went in to meet with my boy Trump, and the next thing you know, like he typed, he said, fake news went crazy. And I love Trump like every other good Christian American. We just want to hold Trump to Christian values and say that's the only way to the White House. And if he doesn't do it, then I'm going to have to do it. I think that Trump is a more senior president. I think I've got some growing to do, but I love Jesus. It's kind of like David.
Trump had every opportunity to get it done, man. I said this before. He blew it. He chose the devil, y'all. He chose the devil.
All of his brothers had all this battle experience, and he was tending to the sheep. But while he was out there, he had to fight bears and tigers. This is the little I know as a baby Christian.
It's true.
Yeah. But he was able to beat that giant. And right now, this giant, there's some cleaning, there's some plumbing that we have to do. And that's what I'm doing with my style of art, my style of humor, and who I am as a celebrity, to say, okay, I've been messed over enough by Jewish businessmen to get to the point to say, I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm not the first person that got debanked because of their political opinion. And I represent now the common man. When we go, I don't like the word if, when we go into the White House, it's a us now. It's not about specifically an icon or DeSantis.
But it's issues.
Yeah, it's about the issues in America.
Yeah, stay there. Nick Foyt has the studio. This is Uncensored, folks. We're going to come back after this break, and we're going to come back after the break and play a George Soros compilation of him on NPR. It's only a few minutes.
Don't forget about me.
Him on NPR and him on 60 Minutes saying the best time of his life was rounding up and killing Jews. Ye never killed any Jews. So I want to know, how do I get the ADL to love me? Do I round up Jews in Nazi Germany? Do I get love then? Schwarzenegger said he loved Hitler. They gave him an award. I'm just saying, I don't like Nazis, and I don't like what some of the mafias are doing either.
I like Hitler.
It was actually
I hear
the
you.
happiest
Crazy.
year of my life.
You crazy.
That year of German
I'm gonna fast forward this,
For me,
guys.
it was a very positive experience. It's a strange thing, because you see,
George Soros, a Hungarian Jew, to understand some experience, act and helped in the confiscation of property from the Jews.
that's right.
Yes. I mean,
I want to say something about this story about George Soros that many of y'all might not be aware about when he was a little younger. He went around with the Nazis, liquidating Jewish assets and whatnot. It sounds like the same movie, Inside Man. What's it called? Inside Man with Denzel Washington. I can't remember who else was in that movie. The guy who was 12 Years a Slave actor, the black actor, was his partner. And they went in there to that bank that was owned by this Soros type character who had these diamonds or jewels or something like that. But the story about him was that he had helped the Nazis, and that's how he obtained all his wealth. It's similar to what the George Soros story is, ironically, right? All right, we'll fast forward this.
That if I were
They're not carrying out violence against someone or asking people to be violent, like the left's asked people to burn down cities.
How to drain lymph fluid like a true American.
This simple trick is transforming lives. Sounds
Attack Republicans and celebrated Rand Paul and Scalise being shot and attacked. Then you have your free speech. And when the left came out in the last 10 years and really accelerated the last 5, 6, it said white people are inherently evil because of the color of their skin, and that somebody who moved here as a kid from Poland, they're supposed to pay reparations for what people did hundreds of years ago in this country. It's a divide and conquer strategy. I'm not getting into the reparations debate. I'm saying the groups pushing reparations are trying to cause division. And so I've said it, the most Nazi-like activities I've seen, and the Nazis, in my view, were thugs that shook people down, did a lot of really bad things.
But they did good things too. We're going to stop dissing the Nazis all the time.
Okay, we're going to get to that. I don't want to get digressed into this, but remember I told you a story about my grandfather growing up in the richest neighborhood in Dallas, and down the street was a famous German-American inventor.
Alex Jones
and he
got
was a
exposed
first-generation
here,
person.
man.
He'd come here when he was a little kid on a ship, and he held a bunch of the patents on refrigeration and air conditioning. And my grandfather worked the time he was about 8 years old, because he took him under his wing, in his little tinkering factory. Then he had factories in places like Detroit that actually built the stuff.
It's funny because this story goes nowhere, really. He's just doing anything he can with this story. It goes nowhere, yo. Oh, Alex. And it's showing what Ye did during these interviews was show that he really highlighted that everything's a psyop. Even Alex Jones can't go certain places, ladies and gentlemen.
And my grandfather, the main reason he joined the Army Air Corps, he told me, he didn't tell me a lot about this, he just told me the story, was because he watched that man very quietly, once Hitler got power in the 30s, suck every dime out of him, or he would kill his relatives in Germany. And that guy was blonde-haired and blue-eyed, was as German as you could get, as Arnold Schwarzenegger, or as Teutonic, as Germanic. And the point was, my grandfather saw that. So I understand you're opposed to other forces, but I don't think thinking other forces in history that are lionized. That's my personal experience of what my grandfather, Clyde William Hammond, told me. Does that make sense?
It not totally to me, but it's, and I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. I'm saying like it literally doesn't totally make sense to me. I'm following it, but I was just thinking about Satan. That whether it's the Zionists or Hitler, it's not the person, it's Satan using the people that
I agree with that.
Are controlled by demonic forces. But what I'm going to say is the Jewish media has made us feel like the Nazis and Hitler have never offered anything of value to the world. Meanwhile, there's all of these things that are happening. Planned Parenthood is New World Order population eugenics that is happening to this date. I got some.
See, Ye keeps bringing up the whole thing about Margaret Sanger and the Plan B and abortion agenda because he's highlighting how we always want to focus on some old stuff, right? Regardless of how you feel about Adolf Hitler and the Nazis and what happened back then. Okay, that's done with. What's going on right now? Let's talk about what's going on today. Today, more black babies were born. Yes, sir. What's going on? What's going on, Moses? You getting out of here? Or you hanging out? But yeah, what's going on today? Right now, we got abortions going on. Right now, we have lies that we have to deal with. You see what I'm saying? Y'all worrying about what happened way back yonder. And regardless of what happened with World War II, we get it, right? But today, abortion is happening. And that's what Ye's point is.
Jokes here from Owen Benjamin that I want to read about Ben Shapiro. Hey, Candace Owens, unplug this robot before he runs his mouth. Ben Shapiro's cardio is picking up shackles. Shapiro can tell how much change is in your pocket just from hearing a jingle. Shapiro is just mad that Kyrie won't sign his basketball. Back to you, Alex.
Nick, you're sitting over there. You want to say something?
Yeah, well, I agree with Ye. I think that
I've been going about an hour already. I'm gonna watch this episode 1. I'm gonna try to go live again tomorrow. I got some free time again tomorrow. I'll probably pop on around 8, 9 Central Standard Time, maybe a little earlier. But I'm gonna do part 2 tomorrow of this particular interview. So I'm probably go for another 20 minutes or so. But yeah, man, I appreciate you popping in. You know I always appreciate you, man. Appreciate you hitting that like button. Appreciate your support. Most definitely, Moses. But yeah, we're just getting into this. We're looking back at these moments and just kind of enjoying them, basically.
when you look at what's going on today, so much of the political landscape happens in the shadow of World War II and the Nazis and Hitler. And I think it requires a little bit of an investigation, an examination of where those values come from. You know, people talk about Nazis and Hitler, but the United States had camps as well. The United States put the Japanese in internment.
The United States injected black people with syphilis.
Yeah, and you.
No, I totally agree with you.
The United States has Instagram selling pornography to little kids, and they're selling. People are selling. It's prostitution rings. Instagram.
So is your point? Let he without sin cast the first stone. You're just.
Instagram is a prostitution.
I'm going to translate. His point, Alex, or idea is that y'all worrying about what happened back in World War II. He's focusing on the now. This is happening right now. Nothing you could do about what happened in World War II. That happened. That generation dealt with that. That was that generation's challenge. That's what they had to overcome. But now we have things in the now we have to overcome. And no one wants to deal with what we have to overcome now, because if we deal with what we have to overcome now, a lot of these kings are going to fall from their castles. Ye got a lyric like that in Bully. Every time I speak my mind, castles come falling down from the sky, something like that on Bully. They don't want to deal with it now.
Right. Like, I went 30 days off of Instagram, and it was the best part of the fast. Me getting kicked off of Instagram was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because when I go to it, it's like watching it with the They Live goggles, which is something that Owen Benjamin, you guys got to pull this up. Dave Chappelle is a hack, and he gets a lot of his jokes from Owen Benjamin. Dave Chappelle went on a Jewish platform and Chappelle said they dropped that nigga talking about Ye, and he called me Kanye, and I'm supposed to be his friend. Dave Chappelle does not believe in God and does not believe in Jesus. These are the kind of black leaders that the Zionists put in front of us. And meanwhile, we want to knock Herschel Walker, but Herschel Walker changed his life for Christ. And he might have had abortions, but he doesn't believe in abortion.
Well, sure. What matters is you. I have too. What matters is the heart.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with Ye. I think that
Alex is causing so many awkward pauses. He's just saying anything, yo. Anything.
It's time that America has a fear.
Didn't Jesus talk about the least of these, or the little children harming the children? And then here's some liberal or some weirdo Satanist will say, oh, they're not babies yet, and this, that, and the third. All right. Like I said earlier in the broadcast, All you people saying things like that, you better be right. You better be right.
Vision.
I got to get to my bit. Could you imagine, right? Because listen, we don't know how we got here, right? Imagine if the way we come to earth, right? We're spirits in heaven and God is like, okay, I'm going to send you down to earth, okay? And you're going to come in. I'm going to make you an Israelite. I'm going to make you a Jew, but they're going to be calling you black. And then, I'm going to send you down and you're going to have this particular mission in life. And then God tells you, you're not going to remember this conversation, but I'm going to send you down to earth and that's what you're going to do. And this is who you're going to be, right? And you say, okay, God, I've got my orders. I'm going, I'm out. And then boom, you warped off into this thing, right? And, 2 days later you come back and God's like, I thought I sent you to earth. And then God's like, and then the guy's like, she aborted me. You know what I'm saying? These souls and spirits, man, have a purpose, yo. We don't know what's going on the other side of this reality that we're living in. God could be sending out people to do certain things and they're coming back after 2 days and they're like, God, they aborted me.
Leader who serves Christ, who wants to bring the future forth in engineering and theology. I think that when you look at the options that were offered, and I said this on my show the other week, and the news said, oh, he supports DeSantis. I said the moderate Trump.
DeSantis, nobody even knows. It's just somebody that all the left are all of a sudden.
Well, let me raise that. Since you guys got into this, and we'll do hours on this.
Wait, did I cut you off, Nick? I want you to let him complete his thought. Go ahead.
So the moderate Trump versus DeSantis will not produce any outcome where America or Jesus is put first. DeSantis is mobbed up with Israel and Mossad. Donald Trump, his announcement was written by Jason Miller, who's controlled by foreign interests. If there's a Republican primary between them two and they go up against Biden or they go up against Newsom, there is exactly zero chance that we get any kind of regime that's going to deliver the real change.
Nick, I got a question. If I say something that's
Bro, wiles of the devil, bro. They slick talkers, bro, to get us to do that kind of stuff to ourselves, man. It's evil. And I don't understand why they would push that type of agenda. Like they don't think that there's going to be a punishment for that. There's a penalty, right, for pushing that. And people always like to talk about how, is it a life yet? And this and the third. Listen, man, doing that, it's not good for the woman either, though. There's a trauma, a scarring, a certain spiritual pain that happens. I don't care what a woman tells you, that happens when they do that. And only the devil would play with the actual tree of life, right? Sex, the act of conception and all that, that's the tree of life. And they play with that. And I'm telling you, these people better be right. And they better be right.
Provocative towards the Mossad. Is that misogynistic? Hold on, let's hear from that. Hey, I'm the head of the Mossad. I'm gonna kill you and take your children away from you. Thanks a lot, Netin. Back to you, Alex.
Please turn your microphone around, sir. Man, I'm definitely overwhelmed here right now. Infowars.com, tomorrow's news today. Listen, all I'm trying to get through here is
I think it's funny that everybody was upset with Ye about dissing, like I said, dissing old boy Netanyahu, and not everyone doesn't like him. If you go look at any of the Young Turks, these far left type of podcasters, even the ones on the right, whoever you want to pick, they were all like, why is he making fun of Netanyahu? Why is he this, that, and the other? He's an anti-Semite. Ye's an anti-Semite. And then if you look now, those same people are being called anti-Semite. Anna Kasparian is being called an anti-Semite. Chink Unger, whatever the hell his name is, that Turk guy is being called an anti-Semite. Megyn Kelly, everyone who was against Ye for doing this type of stuff and condemning him as an anti-Semite are now being called anti-Semite.
I believe every group should be able to
I
be
switched his name to Netin. I dropped the Yahoo so we didn't have to. I was tired of picking up the Yahoo and the Netin. So For now, he's just Nathan. I know some people call him BB. No, some of you call him Yahoo, but we're gonna call him Nathan. What you want, Nathan? Hey, yay, right after this, I'm gonna say you're crazy. I'm gonna take your family away from you. We're not done with you yet. You cannot cause free thought. We have to control the history books. We have to control the banks, and we have to go and kill people. Also, we're in the pedophilia. Ha, ha.
Did y'all hear what Ye said? What he said? We got to control the history. We got to, man, he said we got to control the banks. What else he say? He said we got to kill people and we're in the pedophilia. He said one more thing too, but that's a fact though. We're finding out now through certain understandings that the textbooks were, what's they call? I can't, McGraw-Hill. That was all controlled by the Epstein's girlfriend's father, Maxwell, whatever the hell his name was. These are the people that are educating us. And I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they switched our identity like that. I don't know if they killed off all the older ones of us and then only taught the young ones that they were black or Africans or how they did it. But something happened where they were able to basically just change history in real time. Crazy work. Crazy work.
So, and in a little while, hopefully you're going to take the mask off because is this actually Ye here? Folks, is this the mask is coming off in a little while? Hopefully, we're going to be able to have a discussion about this. But I mean, seriously, you have the globalists pushing a poison shot that's already killed 20 million people that they admit doesn't work, and then you're the bad guy for criticizing a group. What I'm saying is, when the left said white people are inherently bad because they're white the last 6-7 years, they opened the gates up. So what do they expect? It's wrong, in my view, to say any group is inherently bad or has these traits or whatever. We should judge the individual. But it's wrong for the ADL to have what are very racial policies.
The ADL is played out. Nobody knows who the ADL are. Stop giving them attention. Nobody cares about the ADL. ADL, shut up.
Well, they run all the censorship and everything.
They don't run anything. They're played out. We run the streets.
So true. We run the streets. We don't even know it, y'all. I'm going to tell you right now. NBA YoungBoy has more influence than Ben Shapiro. Let that sink in. NBA YoungBoy, Lil Uzi Vert, Don Toliver has more influence than Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, the ADL, any of these organizations. Nobody cares about what the ADL says. You know? I love how Ye's stepping all over Alex Jones's weirdness here. And I don't know how people didn't see how weird Alex was in this whole interaction, bro. He was weird in this shit. He didn't want to go there. Why?
Well, I'm singling out the ADL. So
That's we don't know who they are. No one in high school knew what the word anti-Semitic was until Ye made it popular.
No, I hear you. It's definitely a tiger by the tail. Nick, you want to comment here?
Yeah, I just want to jump in and say that, I don't think Ye or I are saying that any group is particularly bad or the Jews as a group are bad, but there are Jewish practices that are based on Jewish law, and there is clearly some kind of a Jewish mafia. I'll give you a perfect example. It was Ari Emanuel of WME that called for a total boycott on Ye. Ari Emanuel's two brothers are Zeke Emanuel, who is the architect of Obamacare in the Obama White House, and his other brother is Rahm Emanuel, who is the chief of staff for Obama and the mayor of Chicago. Their father, Benjamin Emanuel, was part of the Irgun, which was a Zionist.
Americans used to enjoy swelling free legs, even into their 80s. But now, almost 85% of us.
Terrorist group in the 1940s. The definition of anti-Semitism, according to the State Department, is if you say Jews have any allegiance to Israel, it's anti-Semitic. If you say that Jews have any kind of conspiratorial influence in America, it's anti-Semitic. So we're supposed to believe that if Rahm picks up the phone and...
I'm going to let Nick finish, but think about that trap. Only a people... I just can't see how you would come up with this term and what it means, because anti-Semitism, y'all saw the interview with Candace Owens and that one rabbi. He couldn't even define anti-Semitism. He basically said it means whatever the hell they want it to mean. If you're doing the right thing, why would you even have that term? It's almost like you knew one day the veil was going to slip, the mask was going to come off, right? The Bible says, I think it's in Isaiah or Ezekiel where it says, make bare the leg. You know, Farrakhan says something, I think, was it Khalid Muhammad one time said, we want to lift up the skirt, right? They knew this day would come. So they have this term, anti-Semitism, in place to basically stop you. It's the Wizard of Oz. It's Truman Show. Remember Truman wanted to go and all of a sudden the news report said it's going to rain and big storms don't go? That's what the word anti-Semitism is, and racism. They all work together like that. All these terms is spiritual warfare. It's spiritual warfare, ladies and gentlemen. It's not real.
Gets on a call with Zeke and Ari, and they talk about their jobs, which are running Hollywood and running the Obama White House, a conspiracy. If we acknowledge that happens, we're called anti-Semitic. But it's the truth. It's a truth that they make those calls. And it doesn't mean that every Jewish person is in on it. There are good Jews like Darren Beatty and Laura Loomer. And, you know, there are lots of fine
Let's have
people.
Laura Loomer call in. Also, it's like there's Jewish people that are basically hiding me under their floorboards right now, under their wooden floors. It's like a reverse version of the Holocaust, because there's Jewish people that saw how I was treated and they're like, this is wrong. This guy just gave an opinion. I didn't cause any harm. I didn't harm anyone. All I said is, and I spelled it wrong because I was drinking alcohol, and we see the Bible says you can drink, but the king should not drink, right? And I shouldn't have been drinking. I shouldn't have said death con. That was a $2 billion tweet, basically. I know you know about getting sued.
I hear you. So let's expand. Yeah, that's also drinking. So let's expand on this. What you say is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You didn't kill anybody. You're simply here saying this, and you're being demonized and attacked, and you're saying that is hypocritical. But that's what I'm trying to tell you. George Soros admits he went around rounding up Jews that thought they were being protected, stole their money, and sent them to Nazis. What my point is that that's what the left does. They hide behind black people, they hide behind Jews, they hide behind groups, and they use racial politics to control. And so I think that's the most important thing is to.
And see, you know, Alex Jones is too, I would assume that he's too smart to still be talking about this whole left paradigm, right paradigm. You know, this guy was on the air, been on the air forever talking about the quote unquote agenda of the deep state and all these type of things. But yet here now with Ye, he's fallen back into this, what the left is doing. And I love this, looking back at this now, because as we see now, which many of us have already seen, but I'm glad it's coming out with the light of God, that there is no left and right. There's only one evil and there's only one good. All right? And the evil goes by many different names. Evil goes by a lot of different names. Okay? But the truth only goes by one name.
Understand that we can all come together under Christ.
Also, they blackmail. Okay, go ahead about the Christ thing. I want to hear this.
No, we can just, I'm just saying, I mean, I don't hate anybody because of their religion or their background. And there's great people from every organization. And I think
George Soros can come to Christ. It is a possibility that he can convert and come to Christ.
Would you meet with George Soros if he wanted to meet with you?
Absolutely. I would meet with anyone. That's the whole thing. Laura, we're live. What's up? This is Laura Loomer.
I'm watching live.
She's so thirsty. She called in quick. I don't want to hear her talk. I'm going to fast forward old Laura here. She's thirsty as hell. Now, look, it's funny because now look how out front Laura Loomer's been on, especially on X and her relationship with Trump, you know, and how evil this woman is. I didn't know who she was back at this time, but it's funny how everybody who's on this show and, you know, most people who was on this show and made appearances on this particular episode have become so like out in the mainstream with this whole Israel, United States type of friction that we have going on as far as these people and why we're supporting them and what their role in our society is.
Milo running my campaign.
No, that's great. So here's the deal. We've got Laura Loomer's number. Can we call her on Skype or Zoom? Can we actually put her on the show? Laura, you're on via a speakerphone. Can you come on via?
He did say that. I forgot all about that. He said when he took his mask off, his eyeballs were black. as something like he was on some type of heart. Yeah, he did say that about Ye. That was evil, Alex. I forgot all about that. I'm gonna have to pull that up one day, bro. I'm glad you reminded me of that, Moses. He did say that. Just defaming this man. What lie has Ye said right now? But I gotta remember I don't know if it was Steven Crowder. It might have been a Steven Crowder interview. If you know, put it in the chat. But he said when Ye took off his mask after the show or something like that, his eyeballs were black like marbles or something like that. His pupils were black and dilated. That he was on something. Crazy work. Crazy work, Alex.
Skype or via phone right now?
Yeah, I can't do video right now, but I could do audio. I texted your producer.
Laura, we're gonna call you right now. We're gonna put you on air in 2 minutes.
Don't trash Milo. I like Milo.
I'll call in right now.
You didn't say yes.
Yeah, they're gonna call her. They got her number.
Okay, cool. Bye.
This is crazy. Listen, all I'm trying to say is
I'm gonna have to dig that interview up. I think it was either Tucker, like you said, or the Steven Crowder. One of them two. But you might, yeah. I'm glad you brought that up.
Milo's Jewish. I love Milo. Yeah.
And you got a little bit of the Hitler fetish going on.
It's not a fetish. It's not a fetish. That's a term like I just love information. They have some documentaries. Apparently, Bezos is allowed to put up any documentary, but if a basketball player tweets it, he'll lose his entire career. I think that's...
Well, that's where I want to go, because you've got millions, hundreds of millions of Chinese locked down right now and Chinese are great people, but their government and that country's...
Yeah, he brought up a good point about Kyrie getting all that heat. If y'all can't tell, y'all don't find it strange that and I'm not gonna say, I can just see what they're afraid of. They don't want the people that are designated as Black Americans in this conversation at all. That's why they're letting people like Dan Bazarian run his mouth. Myron Gaines is not a Black American. He's a Sudanese, Ethiopian looking dude. They'll let the Professor Yang Chinese guy, y'all want to look at him like he's some prophet now. Anna Kasparian, Megyn Kelly, all these Tucker now, some rogue all of a sudden that y'all literally following after, believing that this guy really is dealing with something serious like that. They want that conversation to stay over there in that lane because they know once Black people get into it and that voice is heard, it's a different spirit. It's a different weight. I'm telling y'all, they are purposefully allowing these quote unquote white content creators to talk all this Israel talk. Because they're not afraid of what y'all gonna do or say. But how can you paint a Black guy as a Nazi? That don't fit. It don't fit. You can't say we have power. That don't fit. Like nothing against the Black quote unquote man will fit into their narrative. That's why they're afraid. Alex is bringing up the Chinese, which the Chinese are playing a part in this as well. But that came out of left field. You're right. Yeah, they boxing us out. Alex trying to get rebounds and start a whole... Yeah, he is. He's catching all kinds of... But those are some bad rebounds. Like the ball is bouncing over the backboard and getting stuck on the camera attachment, and he's still trying to grab it and pull it down and count it as a board. Come on, Alex.
The most racist, homogenistic, or homogeneous, actually, group there is. And all I'm saying is
I just love information. They have some documentaries. Apparently, Bezos is allowed to put up any documentary, but if a basketball player tweets it, he'll lose his entire career. I think that's...
Well, that's where I want to go, because you've got millions, hundreds of millions of Chinese locked down right now and Chinese are great people, but their government and that country is the most racist, homogenistic, or homogeneous, actually, group there is. And all I'm saying is I really care about those Chinese people under lockdown because they want to use that as a model against us.
That wasn't even a rebound. He talked, how you go from Kyrie to the Chinese being locked down? That's like two different sports. That's not even a rebound, Moses. That's like a foul tip. Like he trying to. What the hell, Alex? I didn't even notice that he went way off topic like that. Alex is shook, bro.
I'm just kind of not. I'm not on the whole Jew thing. It's what I'm saying. I don't care if people talk about it. I believe in free
Zero
speech.
connection.
I'm just really worried about the forced injections, world government, 5G, the open borders, the collapsing currencies, war with Russia. What do you think?
I don't have all of that information. I have the information that 2 days ago I thought I was going to be put in prison because my accounts are frozen.
No, I get it. You're in Hollywood, and the managers you see are. So I get it from your perspective. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and I love Jesus, and I have to fight this war to make a better place for my children and for everyone else's children. I got to put myself, my accounts, my name at risk to stand in the front of this war that we have. This is InfoWars, right? So we're going to give this information on InfoWars.
By the way, I asked the crew very lovingly. I love the crew, but you guys gave me the tweet I sent you this morning of the abortion mill, New World Order.
Ye keep trolling him with, this is InfoWars. This is InfoWars. He trolling him when he say that.
Depopulation, Kill the Black People Organization, Planned Parenthood, where they said it's white people's job to give money so we can kill black people. It actually says that, and Ye didn't want me to have it on the desk because he wanted to be able to have it all look clean and stuff, and I get that, so I'm happy for Ye. But will you guys give me that damn tweet? Because I love you to death, but I'm asking for an hour. I need that damn tweet.
I need that damn tweet.
I want to show people
now.
this because it is such it is such mind control to say, white people, you've got white guilt. To actually say you're bad because you're white. Help us kill black people. What type of freakish, crazy world is that? Yay?
Zionist. Is that too wide of a idea, or do I have to just go specifically to who does that? But it's the devil. It's the devil. We all, like Grandma used to say, we all need Jesus Christ. And where I'm at, this position where God is, he's using me as a vessel. Everyone always knew that I was special, but now I get to be a vessel. And I feel so, I'd like to go into a prayer. It's a prayer that my cousin wrote. Now, this prayer is.
All right. I'm going to, y'all got to check this prayer out. It's a good prayer, but I'm not going to play it now. But it's a really good prayer. We're almost done with part 1. We're going to get into part 2 tomorrow evening, because I do have time tomorrow evening. And we'll finish out here with part 1. We're almost done with it. Here we go.
Oh, that was the best prayer ever. And I was thinking, like, bro, why you set me up? What decree that you are the supernatural wisdom and you have for our lives. Open our spiritual eyes, Yahweh God, so we may better see all of the divine things of the Spirit. Open our spiritual ears, Yahweh God, so we may better hear all of the sacred things of the Spirit. Guard our spiritual mouth, Yahweh God. Place a censor over our divine tongues, so we may only speak words that glorify and edify you. Soften our spiritual heart, Yahweh God, so we may walk into deeper communion, communication, commitment, intimacy, understanding, and a relationship with all of the divine things of the Spirit. Yahweh God, we recognize that we do not battle against flesh and blood, but against spirits and powers, principalities and rulers of spiritual wickedness in heavenly places. It is for this reason that we put on the whole armor of God, Yahweh God. We put on the helmet of salvation and the breastplate of righteousness. We firmly attach the belt of truth around our waist and drench our feet with the preparation of the gospel of peace. We take our sword of life spirit, which is the word of life, and the shield of faith with which we will quench all of the fiery darts of the enemy. Thank you for blessing us from the top of our head to the bottom of our feet and everywhere in between with the first, what we need, everything that we deserve, and then the best that you have for our lives, Yahweh God. In Jesus' name, amen.
And perfect time to go to break. Hour number 2, uncensored with Ye. Nick Fuentes, I'm your guest host here in Insane Asylum World, because the whole world's crazy. All of us are nuts. This is Twilight Zone 2.0. We will be right back.
When you say that.
No, I'm talking about all of us. The whole world's crazy. It is crazy. Everybody's crazy.
Listen, you're not high and catching all that. See, Alex was trying to be slick there. Insane asylum, this, that, and the third. You know, Alex, everybody was exposed. If you notice, Ye went kind of like, he went to like each type of media outlet you could think of. He went to the standardized Fox, where they edited out the things he was saying about Zionists on there. He went to Cuomo, which is kind of like a left center type of program, and showed how fraud he was. He went to one of these famous podcasters that talk to people like Elon and all these people when he went to the Friedman podcast and exposed them. He went to the Hood and went on Drink Champs and exposed how they controlled. And then he went to the top dog, Alex Jones, Mr. Conspiracy Theory, Mr. Deep State, Mr. I Got the Truth himself. And guess what? He controlled too. That's what was shown. That's what Ye showed us. Beautiful display. It was a beautiful display. Love it, bro. Love it. So that was part one. We're going to watch part two tomorrow. Lord willing, I'll be on here tomorrow again, starting around 8 o'clock. So make sure you hit the notification when I throw it up. Jump in here for a little bit, add comments, and we can chop it up. As you can see, I do talk back. Okay, but no, he don't sound like he on drugs. He catching every little slight and slick thing that Alex Jones is doing. He really is. All right. So yeah, we'll leave it at that for tonight. We're gonna end with that scripture again, and we'll do Second Thessalonians 2 and 3, and we'll just leave it at that. I'm going to read 2 and 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, ladies and gentlemen. The son of perdition. Let me see what your question is before we get out of here. That man of sin has to be revealed, ladies and gentlemen. For the second term, during it, he might have, or they might be trying to keep him away. I'm not sure. Trump doesn't seem to be moving with Jesus, if that makes sense. I think Trump made his decision, y'all. And I think Ye knew he would pick Satan over Jesus or over the truth. He gave him every opportunity. We're gonna watch part two. You're gonna realize when Ye said he came to Trump and said, "I give you opportunity, to possibly be my running mate, to walk with me," right? Trump went the other side, y'all. He went the other way. He's controlled. So I'm not sure if he reached out to him. I know what Ye's doing right now, though. He's doing another show of force. With these tours he's doing through all these different countries, whether it be Albania, isn't he going to like Kazakhstan or some shit like next week or next month, some crazy place? He's going all over the world and they showing up for him, loving it, standing on top of the world. They afraid of Ye, y'all. He's showing his influence throughout the whole earth, not just in New York City, not just in LA, not just in America. He can go to somewhere in Albania where it's pretty much all white and they all show up. He can go down to Mexico. He can go to China. He can go to Asia. Every God-fearing Christian lover of truth should be supporting Ye wholeheartedly. True power, true fearlessness, and a lover of the truth. That's all we can ask for in these days and times. So I think it's excellent that he's doing what he's doing right now. And they're watching. You don't think they're watching that? So I'm interested to see what Ye's next quote unquote crash out is going to be. Because if you notice, he does crash out through his whole career. It's been like a crash out, or like he'll drop something, and then boom, 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 he'll crash out, as they call it, and then come out with another hit. Crash out, come out with another hit. So I think this next crash out is gonna be, I think it's gonna be bigger than the last one, because they've all gotten incrementally bigger. They haven't gone down. You know what I mean? Like, it hasn't been like, you know, he went from wearing the red hat to like going on stage at the Grammys. Every time it's been a gradual, bigger and bigger revelation. So the next one, he went hard on this one. What's the next one gonna be? So don't let the media deceive you about Ye. Don't let all this crazy talk. I showed y'all several scriptures in John. The people answered and said, "Thou hast a devil, who goeth about to kill thee." They called Jesus crazy. Many of them said he had the devil and is mad. Why hear ye him? They said that about Jesus. They called Jesus crazy. Think about that. Think about it. You think the media is gonna, come on, guys. Then answered the Jews and said unto him, "Say we not well that thou art a Samaritan and has a devil?" They said Jesus had a devil on him. They said he had Beelzebub on him. So all that devil talk, crazy talk, man, that's par for the course. That's par for the course, y'all. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I've been on for well over an hour tonight. We're gonna get up out of here, and I'm gonna jump on tomorrow around 8 o'clock, Lord willing, and talk some. And we're gonna do part 2 of the interview. All right, make sure you hit that like button if you're in here. My channel was kind of under the algorithm. I'm trying to weave my way back in, but I got a couple hate speech strikes. Y'all, I've told this story before. Brother was going too hard when I first came on the scene. So, you know, I'm trying to be now a little bit more wiser so that I can reach more people. So make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. But that being said, I love y'all like I always say, and I'll see you next time. I'm out.